Hey traders, this is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and this is your end of day recap for what is today? Today is Tuesday the 24th. I wanted to say 27th. It is not the 27th. It is the 24th. So we had a little bit of a reversal day in some names today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and we'll talk a little bit about it's earnings season, right? So this is my philosophy on, types of days like this. I came in today and I said today was basically a gift for the way that the market was responding in the morning. In my experience, we're just like, the major averages very infrequently move a lot for earnings. There's a lot of information that has to be processed. Every earnings quarter, I should say, we have a lot of up moves and we have a lot of down moves, and the market usually does a lot of processing of that, and then also decides tries to figure out which way it wants to go and which areas are the hot groups of stocks. So this is what I put in my weekend newsletter. This was the game plan that I talked about. It's very difficult to swing trade in this environment. There's very herky-jerky moves. So I would not pay attention to the financial media who will, every time there's something bad that comes out, it sounds like it's the end of the world. So yes, we started the day higher and we ended lower for some areas of the market. So let's go ahead and we'll go through some of the charts, and some things do look like a reversal day. But there's also a lot of good things that happened today, and it's probably why some things got sold off, right? If you look at, first of all, there's a big disparity between S&P, but even further if you look at the Dow stocks, right? So Dow stocks. So by the way, what I have listed here is just be careful around this time of the year. I always have a note on my desk. Every earnings quarter, do not overtrade. Try to trade less. You could you could day trade to your heart's content, but swing trading just does not work very well during earnings season. Reading the tape does not do very well right now. There's a bunch of mixed signals every day on the tape when we see calls being purchased right before earnings and then they don't work, right? A lot of times it's hedges. So let's talk a little bit about, so the S&P, yeah, we didn't finish on the highs. I mean, I know people are going to analyze this to death. I wouldn't. I just think that you're going to have a couple days like this, especially when you have such a big percentage of the S&P reporting today. You're going to also have it on Thursday too. Thursday's a big earnings day as well. Odds are the market may start to move one way and may come back another day. Is it a little bit frustrating when your portfolio is up in the morning and it closes lower at the end of the day if you didn't get out of anything? Yes. I was up huge this morning, and I try to get out of as many things as I were short-term related, but it's tough. I was joking around earlier in the trading room. I do not have a liquidate all button, for as much as I was up this morning. It's just one of those things. I want to keep some trades on. And it is frustrating to see some trades like, so by the way, so diamonds I think is pretty good. And, it's funny that people on Twitter who are technical analysis will say, oh, well, I don't know if I can believe the move in the diamonds today. Well, so all of a sudden you're not a technical trader, right? I mean, it looks pretty good. I mean, could it stall out here? Yeah. But I mean, so this was the move in some of these stocks, and this is going to cause a little bit of havoc. So if we go to DIA and we look at the movers for the day, and I know my Bloomberg is a little bit slow here, but you're going to have different names: UTX, Johnson and Johnson, CVX, Dow, DuPont, Exxon. When's the last time that you saw most of these names? Now, the pharmaceutical names have been popping, here and there for a couple days. A couple weeks ago, J&J and Pfizer did pretty well, but there's going to be a little bit of a rotation. We don't have a huge amount of new money coming into the market. So what happens? So some names get sold and other names get bought on a reaction. Like, oh geez, UTX. Who's been in UTX? Has anybody been in UTX for a while? Like, you don't see people talking about UTX on Twitter. I mean, look at the move it had today. Very, very strong. So perhaps it's just another group of stocks that may lead a little bit. So as traders and as retail traders, you could trade anything you want. You don't have to trade and get stuck in all the momentum names today, which a lot of them had reversals. This SQ, not SQ, Square even. I didn't mean to bring up Square, but this is a toppy looking candle. It's a bearish engulfing candle. So let it come in, let it do what it's want. Maybe it comes in till earnings and gives you a nice shot on an earnings trade. How nice would that be, right? A few other names that I noticed today that, just very high momentum names. I mean, these names can't be in vogue all the time. They do come back and they correct every once in a while, right? There is a reason why they have a big short interest to them. There's a lot of doubters in this name, and from time to time, the shorts are going to win. So this name was down a lot. Another one, SFIX, right? I mean, it's been very bid, recently. It's going to come back from time to time. And then it regroups and then it comes back. So it looks like a lot of these momentum names, you could go across a bunch of different sectors, but basically momentum got beaten up today from the high to the lows. Again, it doesn't mean the market is going to, like, oh my God, the market is going to, that's it, that's the end of the bull market. No, it's just a little bit of rotation going on. I mean, IWM2, which has been super, super hot, right? I mean, maybe it comes in and chills out a little bit, right? I mean, it seems to have hit the same level a couple times now. But yes, is this an ugly looking candle? Absolutely. So let it regroup a little bit. Maybe it regroups on the 50-day moving average. And maybe large caps, large cap industrial, big industrial names start to outperform. So again, you don't need to be in the same momentum names. I know sometimes people get hooked into those, but we go through this all the time. There's always a market rotation. Sometimes in some unloved names, some names that have not been doing anything, right? I mean, you look at the steel names. These names have done nothing, right? They gapped up today. They finished off the highs. They were up at 1.4%. But, there's a lot of groups that are under the radar and that have not been performing, very well. So maybe it's their time to kind of shine a little bit. And again, it doesn't mean everybody jumps into value plays and everybody jumps into some of these unloved plays for months, but for a trade, maybe these things actually catch a bid for a couple days. And then, once the momentum names and the internet names come in a little bit, then everybody says, oh, geez, these names look like they're a little bit cheaper than they were a week ago. So, that's my quick thought on the market. I have to jump to a webinar, but, I would not get discouraged by this price action. This happens every earnings quarter when you have a bunch of names reporting new data points, guidance, which is the most important thing. You're going to see very herky-jerky moves. And if a lot of these names, momentum names, like I looked at Square, but you can look at a lot of these names today, if they come in, like Twitter, for example, right? Twitter is going to report earnings. This doesn't mean anything. The fact that it's down 2.6%, maybe it's a little bit of longs taking profits today, but it may set up for a really nice earnings trade if it continues to come in. Again, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't mean anything. There's going to be a lot of moves prior to earnings. There's going to be some shakeouts, and there's going to be some moves, where names open up on the highs for earnings, and sometimes they give it all back. So it's just a product of how earnings season works. It's a very tricky time of the year to trade. So I would not put too much. I would really not draw that many conclusions into it. What did we see in terms of option activity today? Kind of a hodgepodge of things. I mean, some of the things that were bought early on, like there was a little bit of BABA chasing. And again, remember a lot of times what this option activity is, it's just people chasing. When people see BABA up 2%, there's always call buyers, momentum call buyers that come into their name. Do they really know anything? No. So we see this in everything. We saw some riot calls. Yeah, I mean, it's not like somebody sniffed out Riot and said this is a good place to buy. Riot goes up, people buy calls because they see it moving. So don't let people try to tell you otherwise with option activity. Now, again, there's some really good option activity out there, right? A lot of times, names that will be stuck in consolidation or will be punished, down because of a whole group is down, some smart savvy buying will happen. But for the majority of it, it's just people playing momentum. So I heard a couple of people talking about Riot call buying today. Guys, I mean, seriously, it's Riot has been moving up. It's up on Bitcoin going up, and yeah, people purchase the utmost speculative activity of weekly call buying. It has nothing to do with somebody being savvy and saying, "Oh, Riot is going to really go higher here." No, people are on the coattails of momentum. That's all it is. So please do not read into every time somebody tweets something, about this stuff. It's really, to me, not that really not that important. IBB ugly reversal. This was a trade that I went into yesterday. I thought I was going to have a big winner. Tough. Really, the small cap names brought this thing down. Biogen, Gilead, Celgene. I think they all had a pretty decent day. Bristol Myers had a nice day. Lilly had a nice day, but the small cap names really got smoked within IBB. Remember, it is market cap weighted, so there's bigger cap names in there. But if you look at the distribution of this, let's see. Whoops. Let's try this again. Yeah, so you can see Biogen was up, Celgene was up, a couple other names in here, Regeneron was up, but a couple small cap names. This whole CRSP space, blue is down because of a secondary, but Edit was down, and CRSP was down pretty majorly in this group, and that will also affect. Also brought down the XBI ETF because again that's an equally weighted ETF. So those names have the same weight as a Biogen. So pretty nasty move down in some of that ETF. All right, there was some call buying going on. I don't know if it's because of Biogen has a drug study that's coming out, but there was an awful lot of IBB weekly calls going up today for that, maybe speculating perhaps that study may be positive. Who knows? All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.